Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Unscripted. And the Duke Blue Devils have taken down the Michigan State Spartans in the Champions Classic 74-65. Was definitely a slow start for the Spartans and some shooting troubles early on, um, plaguing the team throughout the game. Johnny, what were your thoughts? What's your initial reaction from the loss?
Yeah, I mean, you're never happy with a loss. You got to credit Duke. They played well. The first half, first 10 minutes wasn't great on either side, but Duke definitely, that last 8 minutes of that first half really separated even when Filipowski went out, which was interesting to see. But, definitely not the result you wanted to see. Still a lot of work to do, but, we can dive into the game right now.
Yeah, so to start first half, like you said, very sloppy. There were nine total turnovers in the first 6.5 minutes. The Spartans forced five turnovers in the first 5 minutes of the game. Shooting wise, both teams were struggling. The first 10 or 12 minutes of that game were really, really slow. But like you said, Duke really started to find their groove a little bit late in the first half. This for the Spartans in the first half, some of the stuff I wrote down. Fears had a little bit of a freshman moment. He played a couple minutes in the first half. He had two offensive fouls, had to come right out of the game. Anything you noticed from the first half or that stuck out to you at all, other than the turnovers?
Yeah, I think throughout the game they played great defense. Definitely in that first half. Hogard and Akins are so good defensively, and yeah, I think they really saw the problems they caused Proctor, McCain, and Roach early on. But it's kind of went the same way the other way, right? We really couldn't create any offense. Tyson finished with 22, but he didn't really get going early on, and I just think that just comes down to running the offense and we guys can't shoot the three, right? You saw them stay off Hogard, stay off Holloman, stay in the paint. An extra guy in the paint is hard to get downhill. And that's why you end up forcing a lot of shots.
Yeah, at the under 8 minute timeout, Tyson had 0 points and was 0 for 1 from the field. That's just not really going to do it. I mean, he's the best offensive player on the team. He's really the go-to guy. And when you get off to a slow start like that, it's just really tough.
Yeah, I mean, you saw you like you said, Tyson didn't have a great start. Malik really carried. You saw it throughout the whole game, really. I think he finished with 18 points, but he showed attacking side right, backing down, didn't matter who was guarding him. Didn't really see that from anyone else, right? Hogard didn't really get downhill enough. Aikens couldn't really get downhill. That really seemed to be the theme of the game, right? Not really be able to create off the dribble.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in the first half, I thought there was way too many jump shots, and the Spartans were getting solid looks, but like you said, they were 2 for 36 or whatever from in their first two games from three, and then they started 2 for 11 tonight. I thought a lot of some of the threes I thought were forced. I thought a good bit of them though were just open shots that just didn't go in. And it's a make or miss game. That's what people always say.
Yeah, I mean, Holloman had a couple of good looks. Aiken had a couple of good looks. They're gonna be there, right? And we got to have that healthy dose of both, right? And it just wasn't really there early on, but you just gotta keep shooting, right? I mean, they're gonna get opportunities. You can't be scared to take them.
Yeah. So diving in a little bit into the second half, more specifically, well, Duke took in it was an 11 point lead going into the locker room, and it was mostly back and forth throughout the first 10, 12 minutes of the half. But yeah, early in the second half, this Michigan State really started to play like the team that we thought they were going to be. I thought Hogard had a couple really nice passes, the bounce pass into Malik with the nice reverse finish. And then I think he hit Akins in the corner and he hit a three. It was just really good to see. And I also thought second half, something that I noticed, Jaden Akins just on the offensive glass. I mean, he's done it the whole time he's been at Michigan State, but in a big game like this, when you've got a 7 footer and Kyle Filipowski down there holding down the fort for Duke, it was really, really fun to see Akins get down there and just crash the offensive glass.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aikens, right, so far this year might have been our best rebounder so far, and that's saying a lot for him
I
because his
think
size. But
I think Billis said he was averaging 9 rebounds going into tonight
yeah, that's pretty incredible.
for a
But yeah, I
guard.
mean, yeah. But to start the half, there was a lot of energy, right? I think you saw the Spartans kind of get back to what they're usually used to do, getting up and down, right? Like you said, the pass from Hogard to Malik for the and one layup, just starting to run, and then I think that opens up, right, other opportunities. And then you saw in that half court set, right, Tyson was able to get into his game. Really, other guys were able to get downhill a little bit more, right? There wasn't as much space, like there was more space under the rim, right? You didn't have Mitchell and Young and Filipowski hogging up the lane where we were able to get downhill and then get kick, and then there was a lot more movement in the second half.
Yeah, and I also thought that they adjusted a little bit better to the defense, especially Tyson. They're fronting him on everything and not letting him get the ball. They're they had Proctor on him, and he's got such a size mismatch on Tyson. I think he's 5 inches taller than Tyson, and probably about the same like size, um, in terms of like weight and stuff. I don't know exactly their weights, but Proctor, they said put on 8 pounds, and he was really a force on defense, especially in the first half. Um, but yeah, another one of the big issues for the Spartans in the second half, like you said, Malik Hall was playing so well tonight, just especially compared to what how he struggled through the first 2 games. And then he picked up his fourth foul with 12 and a half minutes left and had to go to the bench for the next 5 minutes. And as soon as that happens, it looks like everything's going to fall apart. And then, as he does every single time Michigan State gets into trouble, Tyson Walker shows up and says, I'm going to put this team on my back. He gets into the lane, finds Carr driving, cutting baseline for that alley oop, big play. And then he hits the back to back threes, the pull ups in transition, gets cut the lead right down to 3. Duke takes a timeout, and it looks like the Spartans have them where they want them on them. It was an 8-0 run. And what were your thoughts like around that was what around the 8 minute mark,
Yeah, I mean,
10 minute mark?
I have it here, 10-minute mark down 11, right? And then the lineup change happens, and then boom, 8-0 run right there. Tyson hits a three. Then he gets into the lane, throws the lob to Carr, and then again, Tyson three. But it was more on the defensive side where
Mm-hmm.
what created these opportunities, right? Carr with the big block, and I think he had the steal too. And it's just creating those chances on the other end that led to that run in the Duke timeout. And then since after that, they just kind of kept going back and forth. Right, Duke made that run, got it back up to 8, and it just couldn't. Every time we answered, they answered right back, and just couldn't really get over that edge.
And it was one guy for Duke. I thought really, it's Michigan State would they'd get close, they'd cut it to 3 or 4, and then Caleb Foster, the freshman, he can shoot from anywhere. It was the first time I got to watch Caleb Foster. I didn't watch either of Duke's first 2 games. I unfortunately had to miss the Arizona game. Um, that kid can shoot. He can shoot from anywhere, and he was making big time shots in the second half, extending the lead, not allowing Michigan State to tie it or take the lead. Filipowski really wasn't. Filipowski finished with 15. He was 5 of 13 from the field, so his probably lowest, or not probably his lowest offensive output of the season so far. But it kind of was the other guys for Duke, Foster and Mark Mitchell. He also was very big. He got to the line, not shot 9 free throws, made all 9. That's so important. Again, I Michigan State's 7 of 12 from the free throw line. We can get into that a little bit later with the free throw discrepancy and what was behind that. But yeah, what were your thoughts on Foster, Mark Mitchell, and a little bit of Duke supporting cast outside of their stars, Filipowski and Roach?
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Foster was the difference, really. I mean, 18 points off the bench. I think it was 7 and 8 from the field, 4 or 5 from three. And it seemed like every time, every shot it was bigger for Duke, right? He just kept knocking down tough shots. And, that's what they got. a star right there off the bench, right? A highly rated freshman who came into the game and was able to knock down shots. And they said in the broadcast, like Arizona, he had 0 points and he bounces right back and gets 18. And that's what you got in a high level freshman. And, I just, we're not really there yet with ours. And, you could say that's a difference, but you look at the, ever mentioned and bench points, right? I think I wrote down I think it was 4 or 6 bench points compared
Carr had
to,
2, Cooper had 4, Holloman had 2, and
all right,
Fierce had
so
2. So 8
yeah,
or 10?
10
10. I'm
to
not a math
their, I think it
major.
was
I'm in
20.
journalism.
I think it was, yeah, 10 to their 26.
Yeah.
Foster and Young combined for 26. And that's a big difference. And like you said, from the foul line, right? I mean, we shoot 7 of 12, they shoot 24 of 30. So that's a huge difference in the game right there.
Yeah. And like you said with Caleb Foster, 4 or 5 from 3. The rest of Duke went 2 for 17. Yeah. 2 of 17. And Caleb Foster went 4 for 5. So it was the young fella, the young man, the new guy. I mean, that's just such a good sign if you're a Duke fan, and that's part of, I guess, the reason I picked them to win it all preseason. And like I said in the second episode in the preview, I they're deep, and Michigan State's a deep team as well, but it almost really came down to just a couple. It was those big shots. Caleb Foster was just very clutch.
Yeah, I mean, he stepped up, right? We said Filipowski didn't have the greatest game probably that he would have wanted, right? And that's props to Malik and props to Carson Cooper. But, guys got to step up, right? Their guys stepped up. Malik and Walker carried the load tonight, and there just really wasn't an extra score tonight to really take us over the limit.
Yeah, so in terms of Michigan State in the outlook on their season, so obviously they were preseason number 4, and now you're 1-2. With, like you said, kind of going back to the third score, that's really the biggest issue. In game 1, it was Walker at 35, no one else in double figures. Can't have that. Game 2, Southern Indiana, much more spread out, had 4 guys in double digits. That's what we're used to seeing from Tom Izzo coach teams. And then again tonight, like you said, 22 from Walker, 18 from Hall, and Akins had 11, but was 4 of 11 from the field, so not his most efficient outing for sure. And I think a big problem for the Spartans is the early season struggles from AJ Hoggard. He's just such an important piece on this team. And the loss is not, I'm not saying at all that the loss is on AJ Hoggard. I just think so many times when we win, it's because of AJ Hoggard. I think
Yeah, yeah.
he was 1 of 8 from the field tonight, 2 points. He did have 8 assists, so he was moving the ball around a good bit, but 1 of 8 from the field is just not going to cut it.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM Sportsbook for this college basketball season. We're going to be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks and predictions throughout the college basketball season. And we are going to have special offers for you, the listeners and the viewers on the Field of 68 each and every week during the season. If you haven't signed up with BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD1500 and you will get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager on BetMGM Sportsbook. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD1500. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if that bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code FIELD1500 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today.
No, definitely for a preseason first team Big Ten guy, right? 4th year, senior, a lot of expectations. And, it's early, but they're just not there yet. We're not seeing that AJ Hogard, the one that would super aggressive, right? Attacking the rim, being confident. It's just not there yet this year. He's just got to find a way to snap out of it, right? Maybe a couple of times, maybe the effort wasn't there. I don't know. It's just not all there right now. But he's just got to find it because he is a super important part of this team and is going to be crucial throughout this year.
And I fully believe that Hogard will figure it out and he will be just fine. In terms of the season as a whole, what I was kind of getting into and then got back off track is personally, as a Michigan State student, I am not worried at all. Duke, like I said, I did not expect Michigan State to win this game. I was very obviously I was expecting it to be a good game, and it was a good game, but they've got Butler at home on Friday. Is that at home?
Yes, home on
Yes.
Friday.
And then who is it on Sunday again?
Sunday's Alcorn State.
Alcorn State.
Yep.
And then Arizona on Friday. So 2 games and then big one against Arizona. So I think the next 3 games we're going to find out a lot. It's really important that we do get back on track in terms of the whole season. But at the end of the day, Michigan State is coached by Tom Izzo. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. He's going to get this team right. They're old team, veteran players. They'll be just fine. I do think there might be a few changes that need to be made. And one that I think might need to be made is I think I would like to see Carson Cooper in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think Monty's been great for us over the years, but I just think at this point Cooper can just offer you more. Definitely on the defensive side, I think you saw it tonight how Cooper was able to stay with Filipowski definitely on the screens, right? He can hedge, he can recover, he can move his feet, right? He's just that. He's got the size that and athleticism that Marty just sometimes lacks. And on the offensive side, right? I mean, just rebound. I think he had 8 rebounds. He's strong on the glass. He might have only had like 2 points tonight, but I think you're going to be able to see him, get offensive rebounds, putbacks. He's going to have chances for alley-oops. And I think, well, tonight was the first night. I think he out-minuted Sissoko. Cooper had 21 to Sissoko's 18. And I think we're going to see that a lot going forward, and rightfully so.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that, like you said, he was working so hard on the glass tonight. And he also, I thought, had a couple nice passes. He was getting double teamed, and he's still young. He, like Michigan State fans know, he went to IMG a little late. He was a little bit of a late bloomer in the entire recruiting process. And he's already progressed into what I think is a really solid role player. He's fantastic on defense. He was giving Filipowski fits. And I just think that he offers you so much more on the defensive side that it's just maybe too much to not have him in there. And it also, the slow starts. Michigan State has been getting off to such slow starts. Is it something that needs to change in the starting rotation? I just think that's where you have to look.
Yeah, I mean, do you start Cooper? I mean, he always starts Sissoko, brings in Cooper like 2.5 minutes in and goes back to Sissoko, right? He's just trying to get the bigs into the game. But yeah, that will definitely be a discussion going forward. I think, just still trying to find a way to get those freshmen into the game, right? I think if I wrote it down, Fears and Booker had 7 and 5 minutes each. Again, tough opponent, right?
Yeah.
And they're just Fears picked up, right? He had that good start of the game and picked up those 2 offensive fouls and just never really got back into the game. Carr was only 12 minutes and then Trey was 13. So I still think he's trying to find a way to implement those guys at the right time with the right guys around them. And it's just a work in progress right now.
Yeah, definitely. And what was I going with that? Oh, yes. I want to go back to the free throws.
Definitely.
I need to talk about this. 30 free throws to 12. And I think I didn't write it down, but Michigan State shot 4 or 5 free throws in the last 2 minutes when the game was already over, essentially. I don't think Duke was just that much more aggressive than Michigan State.
Yeah, I mean, you can make that argument.
I don't think they went to the hole anymore. I don't think they were any less physical defensively.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple late calls.
I would rather
Um,
not say it blatantly, but you can fill in the dots on where I'm going.
yeah, I mean, you could
And it's
discuss
nothing
that.
new. It's
No, it's
nothing new.
happened.
It's nothing new. It's Duke. But you don't lose the games because of referees. I
No,
I
and
fully believe that. But 30 to 12, and at one point it was 22 to 5 or 24 to 5 at one point. Come on.
yeah, and then you could make that argument, but it just comes back to I think the start in that first half just not being aggressive enough and just getting that way, right? I mean, Duke got off to a horrible start, and so did we, but I think the opportunities were there to get out early, right? The
Yeah,
defense was
definitely.
great. They kept turning the ball over, travel, travel, travel. And we had every opportunity to jump out to an 8 point lead, 6 point lead. We just couldn't knock down a three, couldn't make the layup. It's just opportunities like that. You can't miss them, right? Because usually we didn't play well to start, but they didn't. And that's an opportunity you can't miss. And we missed it. And then they jumped out to that early lead right before half and just never really could get back into it.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I'm not trying to blame the refs. You do not lose games because of referees. I just think that was a bit of a crazy discrepancy. And yeah, I agree. It was the start. Not even like you said, it was honestly the end of the at last 8 minutes of the first half. Michigan State, they just still couldn't score. And Duke was starting to knock down their shots, get the ball inside, working it inside and out. And yeah, it was a tough start, and it's hard to come back. It's hard to win basketball games when you struggle to put the ball in the bucket for the
Yeah,
first half of the game.
yeah. I mean, what we have 20 at half?
Yep.
That's just not good enough. And I
No.
wrote it down. We were 0 of 2 from the line in the first half, and they were 11 of 14. And that's where it comes back to just not being aggressive in the first half. The second half was different. The first half, there just wasn't enough attacking. There wasn't enough ball movement. And it comes down to Duke just kind of sitting in the paint, right, and daring us to make a three, which is not an, you just got to knock them down, right? They were good looks, but you got to be able to knock them down.
Yeah, and again, credit to Duke. They think they had 9 turnovers in the first half, and they finished with 13. So only 4 turnovers in the second half. They really cleaned it up, and they started to hit their shots. Michigan State still shot 41% from the floor, so that's definitely encouraging. And it was against a very strong opponent. The second half was so good in terms of shooting. Michigan State was just able to finally put the ball in the hole and just finally make some shots and make it a good game. But yeah, they weren't ever able to quite get there. Caleb Foster was just hitting every big shot tonight.
And it's a big time player, makes, big time plays, but it's how it is going forward, right? You just got to be able to respond next, on Friday night against Butler and just keep going forward. But, it's a missed opportunity, but there's going to be more, out there for us on this tough schedule. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, there's plenty of other games the Spartans can go and get this season that will really influence the rest of their where they're seated in March and how we look towards the end of the season. So I don't have anything else with the Duke game. Are you good?
Yeah, I think I'm pretty good. I think we covered about everything.
Yeah. So like we said earlier, Friday, Friday night at the Brez, Butler coming to town. Obviously, a little bit of a storyline. Pierre Brooks coming back to East Lansing, the transfer. Um, I hope it's a good. I hope Pierre gets a good reception from the fans. I don't see why he wouldn't. I don't think there's any bad blood, but that'll definitely be a big one. Thad Matta at Butler, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
they're
going
they're
crazy.
no, he's there.
Yeah.
They should be a good team in the Big East this year, right? The Pierre Brooks is actually off to a pretty good start there. They got a transfer from St. John's and Posh Alexander. And they'll be a good team coming into the Breslin on Friday night. So the Spartans better be ready to bring their A game.
And Thad Matta, he knows how to play. He's played Izzo plenty of times. Obviously, the former coach of Ohio State. Let me look this up for 1 sec. I believe Michigan State and Butler played a couple years ago,
Yeah,
and
they
it was
played
a really good game.
I think it was 2 years ago in the Gava games at Butler, I
It was
believe.
at Butler, yes. let me 1 sec. I should have had this ready. I apologize to the listeners. Oh, it wasn't actually close. It was 73 to 52. But yeah, I don't know. I remember that differently.
Different game, different game.
My bad. It was a different game, had to have been. But yeah, Spartans lose. Duke back on yeah. Kansas, Kentucky tonight. I'm gonna go watch that and try and get my mind off this one.
Yeah, I mean, we just got to look forward to Friday night Butler and get ready for, a big stretch, right, with Arizona on Thanksgiving Day and then, right into the Big Ten season. So,
Baylor a couple weeks later too in
yep, and then
Detroit.
Baylor and Detroit. It's a tough stretch. They got to respond. They got to respond.
Yep. There's not much. There's not. They don't really have many games they don't have any games that they can just chalk in as wins. Just gotta take it one day at a time, one game at a time, and keep working. I don't think. Are you good?
No, I'm all good.
Okay.
Send us away.
Yeah. Okay. So follow us on Twitter at unscriptedpod68. Appreciate everyone for listening. Follow me on Twitter at Jake_Myers0. Follow Johnny on Twitter at JohnnyNoon23. Follow Field of 68 on Twitter at the Field of 68. And we will see you again. We are going to come back for a preview of Butler and Alcorn State, a little bit of a doubleheader game preview later this week, hopefully. And we will